So, free agency is still going on right now, obviously, and the question is who's available now in free agency. So I wanted to do a little what's that called? A little homework, and I wanted to see what are the top free agents that are still available right now in the open market. Well, you saw Joe Flacco got released at 35 years old. Jameis Winston is available at 28, and Colt McCoy. He doesn't need a quarterback. Although, just out of curiosity, okay, and not Jameis, although you could go after Jameis if you're the Dolphins, right? If you think the thing is, Flores would not be able to deal with a guy with those kind of turnovers. But I will say this: PJ Walker, okay, and when we get Fred Fowler on, since he's in Houston to talk about the Texans, we'll ask him also about the Roughnecks, and we'll ask him about PJ Walker. That's a guy that I would love to see the Dolphins go after because it's not really going to cost you much. If you fail, big deal, you move on. But that's the kind of guy that I would like because you still don't know what the draft holds. You don't know what's going to be at 5. And if you're not convinced with Tua because of the injuries and you're not convinced because of Herbert because of the maturity, then take PJ Walker and then you take somebody else later on in the draft like names that we've talked about in the past. So in free agency, the quarterback part is not one that Miami really should look at. But if you think about it, man, if you want to work with Jameis Winston, that's a franchise-type quarterback. He's just a knucklehead. And if you can get the interceptions down, which I don't know if you can, that's a guy you could take a shot at if you're the Dolphins. P.J. Walker, I would love to take a shot because it's not going to cost you anything. See, with Jameis, you got the baggage, you got the irresponsibility, you got the laziness of the interceptions, all of that. So, and if he's backing up Fitzpatrick, which, by the way, he has already been in the same team with Fitzpatrick because Fitzpatrick played in Tampa, he would, probably not be happy being that backup. So it's kind of weird. P.J. Walker, interesting. Now, at running back, they already signed one guy in Jordan Howard. Lamar Miller's available, but Lamar Miller, I think we've kind of already learned that he's just a guy. And listen, Lamar Miller has done a really nice job as a 4th-round pick to make a career out of himself. But in the end, he never turned out to be a back that you really, really want as your guy. Pass. Melvin Gordon, too many injuries, really not good enough because he barely over 4 yards a carry and only one time hitting 1,000 yards.
Has a very inflated opinion of himself as well.
Yeah, because he wants to get paid. Carlos Hyde, solid running back. That's not that bad. Chris Thompson, 29, nice receiver out of the backfield, has had his share of injuries. And Dion Lewis is 29. And then Todd Gurley was on the free agent block for about 24 hours. Now the Falcons signed him. Wide receiver, Nelson Aguilar, complimentary receiver. Robbie Anderson, he has talent, but he's a knucklehead. Emmanuel Sanders, 33 years old, not the guy that you're building on if you're the Dolphins. Demaryius Thomas, too many injuries, broken down at this point. Tajay Sharp, 25 for the Titans. Not enough there. Brashad Perriman is a kid that has shown some flashes this past year after really being a complete disappointment after getting drafted. Not the guy you want to really build on. Demarcus Robinson or Devin Funchess, you pass on. Tight ends, they don't really need. Eifert is available, but he's a sack of injuries. Jordan Reed has had 4,000 concussions. He has no business playing in the NFL. Eric Ebron's going to want a lot of money, but he's 26, and he's got a lot of talent, but he's also inconsistent. So you got to stay away. Nick Vannett and Delaney Walker. Delaney Walker's 32 years old, not the guy you're building on. Tackles, Kevin Beachum, Marcus Gilbert, Cordy Glenn, 30, formerly with the Bengals. Brandon Shell. Andrew Whitworth is 38 years old. I mean, forget it. And he just signed with the Rams, right? Peters, DeMar Dotson. I mean, just Nothing that you really got to go out and get. Guards, Andres Pete with the Saints, 26. B.J. Finney was with the Steelers, is 28. Josh Klein, 30. Mike Pearson, 31. Michael Schoenfeld, 29. A.Q. Shipley, 34. Connor McGovern, 27. And Austin Blythe, 28. Again, you kind of already made your moves at that spot. I would rather go to the draft now than kind of really spend a lot of money on these guys. Defensive end, Clowney is still out there. He wants to get paid. He's got that bad knee. He's 27. Not a great sack guy, a good sack guy. Not going to be getting double-digit sacks for you. But he wants the kind of money that requires that. That's where, the rubber meets the road and you say, no. Wolf, Shelby Harris, Everson Griffin, Benson, Mayowa, Marcus Golden, and Michael Bennett will pass. Not guys you want to really build on. Ndamukong Suh, you want that again? No, I doubt it. Dontari Poe is 30. Timmy Jernigan's 27. Linebackers, Michael Kendricks is 29. Clay Matthews, that body, he's 33. The body, is worn out already. Anyway, you know what I'm saying? Logan Ryan, 29, cornerback. Prince Amukamara is 31, not consistent enough for me. Ronald Darby, Jimmy Smith, Brashard Breeland, Daryl Worley, and Tremaine Johnson. Again, not guys that you really want to build on. Go draft. Okay? That's where I would go. Safeties, again, there's really Eric Reed is there. He's 28. But I like free agency at this point is kind of dried up. At this point, you're better off focusing more on the draft than anything else. But what's left in free agency, the good thing is that most of the guys that are left on the open market, outside of, a Clowney or a Melvin Gordon, you don't really have to pay a ton of money, and they can't be asking for a ton of money. Some of them are asking for too much money. But that would be right now, if you're looking at free agency, that would be one thing that you have to say, I think we've reached the point of no return. And unless you're getting a real big-time bargain, I don't know if free agency is really a requirement right now anymore for Miami. Minimum salary guys or very little, that doesn't hurt you. But anything that's like bonus or anything like that, extensions, not extensions, long-term contracts, most of these guys aren't worth it.
What about Jameis and giving him like incentive-laden to get him into that 20 area?
Question is, while he's benched and not starting and not picking up those incentives,
is he going to disrupt your lock?
Exactly. Is he mature enough to understand? Because this has to be a shock to him. Because in his mind,
the way that last interview at the end of the season, he's balling.
He thought he would have 5 teams lined up to sign him if the Bucs didn't want to. Now everybody signed their guys and nobody wants you. So this has to humble him to a certain extent. Like, oh crap, these 30 interceptions do mean something. He's got to figure that out. But we are talking about a guy that's had immaturity issues from day one. And we have all the examples in college, and we have all the examples in the NFL, and we have all the examples that he doesn't actually share responsibility. And when you continually throw those interceptions, it means that you are not committed to stopping to make mistakes. If you continue to make the same mistakes over and over again, then you're not paying attention.
He doesn't see a problem.
Right.
He thinks he's doing the right thing.
Right.
And that's why there's no need to change.
Right.
I'm just thinking if you could get him for the right price, and if the guy was to pan out, we could still see what Rosen is. Draft. Yeah.
Steal.
And at the end of the day, if you get him to eliminate the interceptions, and you don't want him to be he will be worth something, and we will get something back in value.
Yes.
Is my, kind of.
I got you.
Yeah. If you could get him for the right number and have him, sat down and look, this is where it's at. This is what you're doing. Are you good with this?
Yeah. No, I'm with you.